excited to have it arrive because it had been damn hot, excruciatingly hot. So this was always welcome. And so whether you're here or there or in Colorado, I see, or anywhere else, good morning, Courtney. Um, may you enjoy this day. We're going to get some little bits of bluster just for the people in the garden. And so they're extra blankets there. Make sure if you feel like during the meditation, in particular, as we settle, we can get a little chilled. And so make sure you have something. I want you to be as comfortable as you can. And so, did anybody get the article that I sent out? Uh, Maybe it was called something like Radical Wise Hope, or anybody see that? RJ, you wouldn't have seen it probably unless Herman sent it to you. Um, but I want to talk about Wise Hope uh, today because I want to distinguish it, first of all, between wise hope and optimism, and then maybe even between wise hope and pessimism, because they both carry certain characteristics that I want you to understand. Uh, and so this came to me because some friends of mine, sorry, some friends of mine and I were talking very recently. These are very, what I would call well engaged people. They do things for their community, for their families. They care, they read, you know. And I was telling them about the going to the protest, about going to the protest. And they both said something like, do you really think it makes a difference? And, I don't think this is going to have any impact. And I think it's maybe a waste of 2 hours and creates traffic and the other things you could do. Was curious about what they thought that was. And I said, yeah, I think it does matter. And I actually think anything you actually then do, it may not be the protest like it wasn't for Greg and I last Saturday, because I have a little tear in an Achilles and Greg has just a recovering uh, broken foot. Uh, and so, well, that might not be the best way for any number of reasons, but that there would be actionable things to do, things to say, things to commit to that would matter. And they both did what I hearing a lot from people now is a pessimism that anything they do could make a difference. Anything they do could make a difference. Come on up. And we're going to talk for a minute using some of Roshi Joan Halifax and Pema Chodron and Chogyam's quotes as understanding that wise hope is, in fact, the only thing that one might invest in on the path then to the what we might call uh, I don't want to use the Buddhist term, what we might call reasonable future, reasonable future. So let me begin there. And I'm just going to read a few things. Then we're going to practice with this, because all of us, not just these friends, I notice can too easily fall into the duality or into the dualism of optimism, which is wishing for, hoping for, and imagining a positive outcome. So can we start with that idea? Optimism is outcome based. I want it to go like this. I'm going to invest energy, time, money, prayer, in a certain or guaranteed outcome, and then it will go like that. And we see how quickly optimism fails then, don't we? Because it rarely goes the way you were planning. It rarely, all the prayer and all the hope and all the that my brother gave, I'll use him as an example, for my parents not to be divorced did not result in their not being divorced. And in fact, their divorce was right action. They were not good for each other at that time. They did not have sufficient skills. They were going to do damage to themselves at each of us and then onward. And my brother then used that as all the evidence he needed to declare his atheism. He then said, well, then there must be no God. And I took that to mean then there must be no good. And he lived that for the next 50 years. He lived that. There's no point, there's no hope, there's no impact, there's no possibilities. I invested a lot in this hoping, wishing, praying. It didn't go the way it would have wanted it to go. And so I quit. Does anybody notice that that happens to be one of the things that is the natural result now of optimism? Yeah, you collapse back then rather than say, what's the next step? What's the next step action? How do I then use this moment? And in fact, it is then protective, isn't it? And it is based then solely on what? No longer possibility, no longer imagination, creativity, no longer what may be potential result by nurturing it, is only now an expression of fear, isn't it? And so we're going to decide today for this discussion that both optimism and pessimism are expressions of fear. Both. Can anybody see why? Simply expressions of fear. Pessimism is just the slumped back, flighted version of I'm never going to get. It was my friends' statements, which is what's the point? Anyway, I mean, right? This is going to be like this for X amount of time. What is there really to do? Right? It took off any individual or collective responsibility, didn't it? It just eliminated it. And actually is also fear-based, isn't it? I'm just going to protect my comfort. I'm just going to protect what I can see, manage, hear. I will not invest anything in what is yet to be known, is yet uncertain. Well, in the Buddhist tradition, we say this is every moment anyway. You're lying to yourself if you think that's just the next moment or the next year or the next election, right? Or the next protest. You have to understand that you're steeped in this moment, that reality, the uncertainty of it all. And then what happens for us? You can feel the collapse, can't you? Like, ugh. Well, if it's not known, predictable, guaranteed, certain, why bother? We've all fallen then once we buy into the dualistic approach, don't we? Right into the other side. Well, then why go? Why stand? Why, right? And we're going to talk about all the reasons why. But you get this idea? And so wise hope, very unlike just optimism or this idea of hope, is not based on a future outcome. It is based on present moment values, convictions, commitments, vows, the right sense, the sense of goodness, as you can best see it, know it, live it just now. You get this idea? Wise hope is steeped in the reality of the present moment, including your capability as an individual, as well as the reality that there is suffering. It cannot eliminate either. Your possibility, convictions, values, clear seeing that you can bring to this moment on the one side, and on the other side, what did I say? The truth of suffering. We have to incorporate the reality. Hope is a wisher that it wasn't so. And immediately starts, then you see, we're already off, aren't we? We have to begin with the reality that life is impermanent, life is unpredictable, there is uncertainty in this world, and there is the certainty then of the truth of suffering. But we don't end there, because that would then fall into what? Pessimism. We just go, then why bother if they're suffering? So, what's the full story? There is the truth of suffering. And we have an entire human mankind to say, and there is a path to growth. There is a path to the end of suffering. There is a path to better, right? We're living it, we're doing it, we're discovering it, we're committing ourselves, aren't we? Over and over and over. Otherwise, what would be the point of this life? Really? Then it's ridiculous. To do what in it? If not to go, how do I then apply my thoughts, my words, and my deeds to something that has value, meaning, principle, a commitment to the good, a commitment to the good beyond one's own comfort, not just because it's comfortable, and not certainly because it's certain, because what's certain? Only, right? Uncertainty, only change, right? Can you feel the difference at all between, and notice then how we fall into these sides of pessimism? What's the point anyway? I've been there, you've been there. And then, come on, come on, right? Like horse racing. Come on, number 8. Come on, number 8. And then it doesn't win. And, you know, if you're really into horse racing, what you know is it's an addiction. And then you go, well, I'll do it again. And then you go to race 2 and then race 10. And then like, come on. Right. And what happens about 90% of the time is nothing. Right. You're just spending money on that momentary high adrenaline. Like, come on. Hope. It's what my brother did. It's what my brother did. He hoped that they could be better. He hoped that they wouldn't divorce. He hoped that his life would not change in the way that it was actually necessary that it change. Okay. Little man treat. So here's what Roshi Joan, who is not the coiner of this term, just so you know, she gets credit for wise hope. Come on up. But she, it's actually Rebecca Solnit, by the way, who wrote a book called Hope in the Darkness. Hope in the Lovely, a lovely book. But here's what Roshi Jones says. I'm going to read a few. Wise hope is sourced in the heart of imagination and creativity and is open to surprise. It holds possibility. It doesn't collapse into then just this either. Open to surprise. It really doesn't serve anyone to peddle futility. It doesn't serve anyone to go, there's no point, and or to say there's no hope. Right? They're the same. We just fall back over into a dualistic side. It's not helpful, because then, can you feel it? Forget about it. I'll just stay in bed. Why would I get up? Why would I brush my teeth if the truth is there's no potential in each of us to shape, to influence, to inform, and to change our present moment? What would you be doing here? Really? It would be insane. Why would Armand drive all the way from God knows where? If the only possibility was that you sat there and went, well, I don't know, maybe I get a merit mark or a, right, something. He gets to sit. That's right. Here's the second thing, Pema. Hope and fear come from feeling we lack. Hope and fear come from feeling we lack. Hope robs us this hope of the present moment. Do you know what she means? Yes, you do. Because instead of just going, right, there is an action, a thought, a word, and it comes from a principle that we're going to talk about in a moment. Here's Sharon Salzberg. In the Buddhist tradition, we tend to be a little skeptical of hope, or perhaps a better way to say it would be hold hope lightly. Hold hope lightly. What she means is not how much hope we hold, but how we hold it, and that we do not hold it for that guaranteed, certain, predictable, wanted, craved outcome. Right? There's suffering, we know, isn't there, in this? And by the way, it's guaranteed. The suffering is guaranteed. Did you ever see anybody after that horse race? Who wants to play that? Right? Look at the suffering. It's continuous. Come on, craving, 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 and then not realized. And then again, and then you're exhausted at the end of this for right reason, because the suffering is going to wring us all out. And by the way, there's suffering now on both sides. There's suffering in the craving as well. Although because of its adrenaline, we don't recognize it. But there is suffering on both. And then and then. So we have to be watchful of this. Joanna Macy, someone I actually had the opportunity to do some training with. She is very lovely and probably our strongest eco Buddhist after Thich Nhat Hanh. She says active hope, she calls it active hope for a reason, is something we do rather than something we have. Get this idea? Something we do. It must be realized. It must be actualized. It must be lived. It must be put into engaged participation, not thoughts about. Hope that is a thought is wholly insufficient. Wholly insufficient. Do we get this idea? Yeah, you do. Wise hope. And then I'm just going to talk for 3 more minutes about this. And so the Bodhisattva vow, you have one in your hand. The tradition says then that which we call upon every day sets the mind rightly, sets the mind in mediation, meditation, right inward measure, and that the repetition of a prayer, a phrase, a possibility, a recollection, a remembering is essential, it says, because you cannot leave the mind unguarded, because that mind will fall consistently then into what? Optimism or pessimism, the good and the bad, the outcome I want and the outcome I don't want. And that limited view, what's called, isn't it? We've talked about this Noble Eightfold Path, and that first one, right view, says if you can only, you're going to ping pong miserably between these two if you stay locked in this idea that I either get my way or I don't get my way. Life is either good to me, well, dangerous, or it isn't good to me. This shouldn't have happened to me, or it, right? I'm Princess Diana, right? We're walking all the time. That we recognize these tendencies is the part of the path. It is not that we have to get rid of thinking. We just have to know which thinking is serving us towards the end of suffering and propagate it. And we have to know which thinking is contributing to our suffering and guard it. It doesn't, they use a word like eradicate, but it's a little false. It means, can you see it? Can you recognize the suffering that is its result? And can you commit yourself then in some wholehearted way every day, says the teachings, every single day, not on Sunday. No, not on Saturday at 7:30. And they say the way to do it is then to commit oneself to some phrases of conviction, some phrases, a path, a prayer, a recitation that's yours, that, right? It's just as wonderful, that says, I am heading this way. I am heading this way. I am forever heading this way, beginning now. Always. Always. Then regardless of conditions.
Really quickly, from 1 second to
Look at this wind.
It's wonderful, it's terrible. Wonderful.
It's wonderful, it's terrible. It's wonderful, it's terrible. Who could stabilize in that if you didn't have what we call the mast pole? The Buddha himself calls these teachings and these practices the mast. He says you will need something to ground you, right, into this forward moving, onward moving with stability. If you waited for the 8 worldly winds, it would just whip you into suffering. Right? And so we practice consistently the Bodhisattva path to say, no matter which way it's going, no matter the day I like, the day I don't like, the thing I felt like doing, I didn't feel like doing it. I was a little moody today. I was in a great mood yesterday. I felt like the banana muffins. I didn't feel like it. Doesn't matter. That we have this that guards us, grounds us, protects us, it says, from that brain stem. And then not only our own brain stem, but what the brain stem of our friends who go, I don't know. Does it really matter?
And to hold on to believing, hoping that that's going to work every time.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's like, okay, in this moment, I remember. And when,
yeah.
You know, in this moment, I could have went over this way.
Yep. And it said the practices say, can you recollect first the teachings before you think, speak, or act? Could you call to mind first, not after, like we tend to employ? I already know this, right? We tend to go, ooh, this isn't going so well. I think I'll start now. Uh-oh, I want to keep it now because it's going so great. I think I'll start recollecting the teachings, putting them into practice now. Too late. Too late. You're already hooked. You're already on the ride. You're already into the, oh boy, can't I hold it? Or, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to survive this. I think I'll put it into action. Then it will only lead to more suffering. As for my brother who went, there is nothing. There is no wise hope because there is no point to hope. And that is completely untrue. And then we remember that we are the hope, that our thoughts, our words, and our actions are it. And what we know for sure is that every person you smile at smiles bigger. Every person you care for cares more. Look at this. It's so real. There's no, I don't see it in evidence. It's always in evidence. Every person you feed, we do this once a month. It makes me cry every month. I get more thank yous then than I ever get ever. The gratitude is radiant. It's right there. People even stay to come back to tell us that it mattered. They don't even leave. Why? It's in evidence. It's palpable. It's real. And we do that in this one moment, in this one way, with too many noodles, right? And it doesn't matter at all. We get this idea. I think I'm ready. I think we should try sitting in it. I will only say that we'll talk about later what the more classic Buddhist teachings say about this, but I think practicing it first would be a better investment of our time. And so let's prepare to sit. I see some people writing, so I'm going to check in on that as we get ready. Yes, we all like the certainty. When the body is ill, when the mind is unsettled, we often collapse into this idea that I've got to secure something for the future. And we already know in our practice that the only moment we can be alive in, be loving in, is this present moment. Here's the thing I know: it is always enough. It is always enough. If you can just show up for this one, it is actually always, and I've never had an experience to say otherwise. It is always enough. And it doesn't mean the patient didn't die, does it, Carrie? It doesn't mean they don't die. It means they die with regard, with care, with connection, with that being held in it. And it matters. And it matters, right? The outcome wasn't the point. How we actually lived it was, right? And so we forget. Why? We actually feel more, we grab for the outcome because we don't have confidence in our own capacity. Isn't that why? That's why. It's not out of greed, it's out of the felt sense that I am insufficient. There's not anything I'm going to bring to this that's going to matter. I don't have the capability for standing here while somebody is in pain or taking a last breath or fearful about their life, right? I don't have what it takes. And then we show up on Thursday. And we remember, don't we? Yes, we do. Just now, just here, with that casserole and these desserts and that Gatorade. And it is enough, right? For the moment we're in. And then we go, yeah, don't you? Didn't you just do it? Yeah, but what about the next moment and the next day and the next lunch and the next? We don't know yet. We're only, where are we anchored to this one in which we can be most present and loving? So here we go. Oops, I got treats. No, 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 no treats. You didn't hear that, right? Yeah. And so we rest back, we soften the body right away into that ever energized, electrified, vital, alive heart. The strike of bodhicitta, that which commits oneself again and again to acting, thinking, and speaking in a way that is a benefit not only to oneself, but to the whole, to all beings. And if that feels a little too big right now, as it often does for people, because we forget the reality of our interconnectedness, that one smile leads to another, that leads to another, that leads to another, that then changes the world, we can stay just here in our own right inward measure. And so we sit. And then the very first and best thing you can do is simply arrive to this body, to this seat, to this precious life, this moment. And so we turn the mind towards the body. And these are the first instructions of the Buddha, to find a seat, to take that seat actively, intentionally, and to invite mind, body, and heart to join together in stillness. And we can anchor ourselves to the present moment utilizing this human body, feeling the felt sense of the breath as it moves in and out of the body. To feel the felt sense of the feet in contact with the earth. And the fold of the hands, holding, warming, connecting. And the moment we assume this posture, whether sitting, standing, lying, or walking, the moment we assume this posture with this intention, we are then the Buddha bee. Someone would say, Christ arisen. And we stabilize the body, the mind, and one's heart in that essential goodness. We are here to be a contribution. And everything that has come before has supported this. And like that radiant eastern sun, we shine that goodness, that warmth, that spaciousness, that light on ourselves. We breathe it in and we remember. We are creating here space and room for infinite possibilities, for learning, growing, healing, and changing for the better the evolution of our own being begins here. And with each in-breath, then we radiate that heart light, that warmth, that spaciousness. See if you can't actually feel it. With each breath, we are given infinite possibility. Breathe it in. Let it be big. And with that out breath, we simply rest in remembering who we really are. That Buddha be, that Christ arisen, that good being. And then remembering that you have been gifted all of this, not by accident, but by plan, so that you can be and live that wise hope. And then I'd like you to recollect a moment, if you could, just as a sourcing, a supply. I'd like you to recollect a moment where you just acted out of the goodness of the action. You acted because it was right, because it was possible, because you could see a path, and there was no thought about what its result would be. You did it because it was there to be done. And you recognized yourself as someone who could enact it, who could engage in it. And I want you to remember that feeling. There was no thought about later. There was no thought about, will it work? Is it good enough? Am I good enough? It was there, it was available. You saw a possibility and you took it. It probably wasn't actually a thought at all. It was an impulse, and maybe even compelling. I can do this, followed by I will do this. Feel the felt sense in the body, the naturally arising energy, the forward impulsion. It does not pull us back. It allows us then to arrive right here. And one's whole heart mind is fully committed. There is a quality of fearlessness in it. true bravery. Because thoughts about oneself or the outcome are not here to hold us back. It often is something that Dennis said last week when he said, you show up. And you show up completely, even with the uncertainty. Remember that feeling now. And because there is no outcome, there's no guarantee, there's only the path and one's presence on it and in it, you do it again. You take the next step, the next moment, fully present. These are acts of vital courage that encourage and support others, even though that's not the goal. It was here to be done. You saw the possibility and you acted. Rest in that enlivened sense. Establishing yourself again and again in just this one moment. See if you've noticed that this attention is also naturally self and outer directed. It is not just oneself or just this body. It is just this body in this present moment space. It is fully engaged. The sense doors are heightened. And the Buddha himself said this energy is essential But untethered or unguarded can be foolish or impulsive. It must be grounded then in the vows, in the commitments, in the principles, and in the path. And one of the Bodhisattva vows, one that we'll be reciting today, just as a piece of that essential ground, is beings are numberless. I vow to save them. And if save feels like too big a word, you can say, I vow to free them. And the second line of the vow goes something like, suffering is endless. I vow to heal it. The Dharma, the possibilities for seeing the truth in just this moment are inexhaustible. They are infinite. I vow to master it, to see them clearly. Compassion's way, one's Buddha nature or Christ consciousness, use whichever word works for you, is available this moment. I vow to embody it. And then we have that mast, that ground pole from which we can use the winds skillfully. We can use them to be a benefit. We can use them to support our energy and our actions towards those vows. And then we use our own bodies, our own minds, and our own hearts as that ground pole. And we infuse it with those commitments. And then this body is the Buddha body. This breath is the Buddha breath. This heart mind is the awakened heart mind that commits itself again and again. And then for just a moment, I'd like you to turn these ever radiant, ever alive, ever available resources, this essential goodness and fearlessness, towards a recent moment of difficulty, a pulling back, a shutting down, a confusion, a fear. And I'd like you to apply the antidote of this goodwill, the antidote of these convictions embodied. And see how you might respond to that very challenge, that very confusion now. And then we're going to commit ourselves to a wiser hope, to a wiser action, to wiser speech. And we remember this is good, even though we don't know the outcome, even though there is no way to secure any certainty. We hold wise hope with possibility. And then we set the course. What is the action I will take? It might be a repair, a correction, maybe making an honest statement. Maybe it's taking some things off the calendar so that you have time for these wise reflections. Maybe it's committing oneself to the vows, to the prayer, to the remembering. And then let that radiance, that energy, that goodness radiate not only throughout your own body, but out We have been breathing it in and now we send it out. May we breathe for all beings who are fearful, who are uncertain, who are pessimistic or optimistic. May we be the ground pole for them as well. May our hope be active, engaged, and alive. A light in the darkness. And may we remember that this very act of uh, willingly turning towards difficulty, suffering, and uncertainty is a radical act of wise hope. And may this practice today contribute. So just checking in on this a little bit. What do you notice? What do you all notice?
I notice there's an ease that comes over me when get into the fear of being optimistic or pessimistic. My mother has Alzheimer's, and such a challenge, right? Such a
Unknown.
all of it.
You don't know anything.
And so those moments of connection and clarity are those that almost plant those seeds of optimism,
Yeah.
which can pull me.
Yes.
And then the pessimist, when when there's a complete disregard and inability to know people and places and
That's
things.
right.
So both sides, and then just that ease for me when I can just be there.
That's right. Isn't it? And you're that for her too.
So effing hard.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
when it
hard.
happens,
So hard.
yeah, when I can be there, that ease and peace.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And then there is no grasping about how do I keep it? How do I make it happen again? How do I secure it? As well as no uh, depression or you don't fall into either well with, well, but what if she's like this forever now? Or the thoughts are, we guard them, as we say,
Ever changing.
right? Because it's always there. We just don't grab on. And then we notice, I think this is our mindfulness practice. We notice when we are, and we know it by the suffering. You're getting woken up. You got a lot of evidence. I'll give you an example of probably one of my first real experiences of Wise Hope in my own life was when my son, who had been diagnosed with autism, we realized he needed some support services in the school. And everybody who knows me knows this. And I'm a collaborator. I'm let's partner. Let's work together. Let's do this together. And there was nothing going on in the school that was going to invite, let's cooperate, collaborate at all on any day, no matter what I did and said. And so I first decided that the teachings were all fucked up. I was like, you all don't know what you're talking about because I'm wearing Mother Teresa in every one of those meetings. That was one of my instructions. I'm wearing Gandhi. And I'm saying that, and she's just slamming me to the ground every single time. And finally, I had a chance to talk with John Kabat-Zinn himself, and he gave me the same line that Sharon Salzberg gave he said, I think you're going to have to fight. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. He goes, yeah, you don't have to want to, but I just think you're going to have to. And he goes, and by the way, I don't think this is going to necessarily benefit you at all. He was 100% like, oh, I don't think you're coming out of this at all. You're not doing this for you. You're doing this for all those other kids who don't have a parent with the resources you have to do it. And it was like a light switched. I was like, that's right. That is my job. I am capable of this. I am going to do it for every other kid in Encinitas forever. And it won't impact my kid, who's already now 7, right, at all. And we did exactly that. I never one day thought we'd win, by the way. We had to sue the district. I never imagined it. In fact, I was certain we wouldn't. I was like, this isn't going to go well. It's okay. We have enough resource. We're going to be all right. Tanner's going to get what he needs. It's all right. And of course, what happens? I give it up completely. It's not about that. It's about setting precedent that's going to have to happen again and again and again. And it won't just be me. It'll be all these others. And guess what? The state, for the first time, awards the action to us to say it is the school's job to provide this. Actually, it is public education's, general education's mission to do so. And in fact, they had to construct very quickly, sort of in the next week, a classroom that has become now a standard for how to help kids who need some support, but not always come in and go out and be in regular, right? We had to develop this model. This doesn't have anything to do with me. It really doesn't. It had to do with I had some capability, was all. I was smart enough, I was warrior enough, and I was able to let go enough, just enough to make sure that enough good things happened that then kept happening. This is happening every moment, though. See, you don't need a child with a disability. You don't need a mother with Alzheimer's. You don't need an abuse relationship. You don't need a surgery. You don't need a diagnosis. But we often wait, don't we all? We're waiting. We're just kind of going, well, it seems all right now. So I'll just don't until life. And life is guaranteed, isn't it? It is. It's absolutely right there for you. The crisis that I didn't want it like this, I didn't want it this way, is right here. You're in it now, actually. You're just looking the other way. Aren't you? We're looking the other way. That's our optimistic selves. Just going, let me just hang on to this because the flowers are pretty and the garden's good and my tomatoes are all right. And it's all true. It is all true. Except we lock up on the sides. And in this tradition, it says, be watchful of this. And how do we remember? Well, one of the suttas says, remember that you are dying every moment. Just to put a little water on your parade. Remember, you're dying every moment. That this perpetual turn towards loss and then gain and then loss and then gain and then loss and gain, if you're not careful about what you really understand about that, will tip you into one of these sides. Does everybody get this idea? We're grabbing both. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so bad. Just like Dia so beautifully said about her mother. And it says, ground in something more stable. The truth is, I can guarantee or predict nothing but the moment I'm in. How do I fully arrive to this one? However it is then. And then the conditions aren't the point. They're not even the good day, bad day. One of the lines in another sutta. Good day, bad day. What does it mean? You show up anyway. Fully. Like wholeheartedly. Whole commitment. And the convictions and the principles and the teachings and our practice give us the capacity, in fact, don't they, to do so. Has anybody been practicing for a while when I'm more capable today than I was of just going, we're here with this. I don't know. I don't have to know. Don't have to like it at all, but I can show up. I can see more clearly as a result, and then I can act in a more loving, compassionate, and responsive way. And it's guaranteed for you, by the way. It's a guarantee. That's a promise, actually. And then I hear people say, I just don't have time for the practice. I don't know how you created that idea, that you didn't have time. You've got nothing but time, because otherwise you're just mugwumping in losses and gains, and in praise and blame, and in fame and disrepute. You're just being flung all over the place with this idea, if only I could secure, get, or keep this and get rid of, avoid, prevent that, then I could be okay. Has anybody noticed you're not being very successful? Not so, no, not so successful. But see, driven by the conviction, and I think that there's a book written now, it's not now, what was it called? All the leaders, Purpose-Driven Life. Wasn't it something like that? There's a bunch of these leadership modeled books, right, are not wrong. It says the only ground pole you have is that. How, when, if, can't know, can't say, because we're not in that moment yet. And then how do we love? Well, if you don't fully arrive to the moment you're in, I don't think there's any possibility. I don't think there's any possibility. It doesn't mean you didn't send the birthday card. You might have sent the birthday card, but it wasn't love. It was comfortable habit. Comfortable, right? Different. It's harder than to go, how do I most express, live, be this? Now is harder than, well, I just like to do that. That's what I do. Other thoughts about this? It's harder, isn't it? It requires more of us. And it requires our mindful attention. And then it requires that fearlessness that Chogyam talks about. Am I willing to take the step into what I see? And I will tell you honestly, I was not wanting to. I was like, no, this is going to be unpleasant. They aren't going to like me anymore once I tell the school I'm suing them. I didn't want the conflict. I don't like that. And I now see so clearly it was exactly the right thing without aggression. I wasn't mad at anybody at all. I didn't do it from that place. I did it from, it is the thing I must now do because I can do it, even if it doesn't benefit Tana. We never even got into the courtroom, by the way. Just the end of that story. Yep, never even got there. The thing I most feared never even occurred. There was no testimony, there was no deposition, there was none of the stuff I was so afraid of and so wanted to avoid never happened. Because I said by Friday at 5 o'clock, if we can't come to an agreement, then we do have to go there. And I will not back down at the last minute. Because that was a common strategy in the district. We're going after Friday at 5. And guess what time they called me? Friday at 5:01. A little tiny win for them. Like, we're not going to do it, her. Just what? And it's all good. It doesn't mean we're always fighting. We are not always in these difficult moments fighting these large issues. And yet, we have to have the energy available and ready, I think, to do so, don't we? We can't rest back in, well, it's good today, so we'll just, right? I think we have to keep the fire of that heart mind ever awakened, or expect to be caught off guard without the ground poles we all need, which is why I so am a proponent then of the recitations. So we're going to take a look at those, if you would. You have them in your hand. I'm sorry for those who don't. I'm going to see if I can't pull it up for you. Do you have any extra copies, Carrie? That'll at least give me. Can Cindy? Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry for those of you. Let me see if I can get this up here. Maybe I can. So look over these while I'm seeing if I can't pull them up for the community. These are called the 4 Bodhisattva vows and the Bodhisattva prayer that we say every day. These are examples only of things you could recite every day to set the compass in right inward measure.
Does it mean that Dharma gates are
Dharma gates. Dharma gates, it means reality, the truth is ever available to us if we are only open, sufficiently open to seeing us. It's every moment, every breath, and it's infinite and vast. And really, what keeps us from it is usually some fear. I don't want this, or I only want that. And so rather than see things clearly, let me give you an example. My friend saying, do you really think there's a point? And I said, wait a minute, all positive change throughout all time happened from one person saying, this is the way to go, and then a whole collective of people joining that every single time. Every single time, whether it was Gandhi or Martin Luther King or Mother Teresa or Marie Salk or, right? Somebody, the American Revolution, the Tea Party, whatever you, somebody said, hey, I have an idea. Let's. That eventually, over time and with momentum, conditions, all changed everything. And then how could we then say, not this time? Like, what fear is there? And it is, in fact, for us, I know what it is. It is the fear of the loss of our comfort. It is. My friends live in a very nice house. They travel a lot of the year. They're going, really? Am I going to have to give up some of that for this? And the answer is yes, you are. If it matters. And if it doesn't matter, what matters? If you're hoping that you just got to keep that while everybody else struggled, it's never going to work out, actually. Doesn't work out. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at these together. And we're going to recite them together. I'm going to give you the cadence. I'll just give you an example because it's fun. In the Zen tradition, it would go something like this. Beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. It's very cadence driven, and often there is a cadence stick. We aren't going to do that. Just know that there's infinite ways to recite them. Let's do it together. I'm going to turn this up for the crew there. You guys are just listening. And here we go. Beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to live them. Awakening is possible. I vow to actualize it. The actualize means be, become, embody, and the way it was traditionally written, that final line was the Buddha way, compassion's way, is infinite as well. So I'm going to ask that you find 4 phrases. You find your 4 phrases. I want you to recite them every day this week. It would be best to recite them first thing in the morning, sometime through the day, and at the end of the evening. We call that bookending the realities as reminders. And then I want you to see what changes. You find your 4 phrases. We actually know that 3 or 4 is about the number we can hold. We actually know that we tend not to be able to hold more. So just know that that's just the understanding. Okay, does everybody get the homework there? 4 phrases. It might be a part of a prayer, a poem. It might be something you made up. It might be something. They are to be the same. They are not to be spontaneously crafted as intentions are for a day. They are the ground pull from which the intentions come, from which the actions come, from which the speech comes. They are the ground pull. They are unwavering. So we don't go, today I'm going to say it like this. You say it exactly the same in whatever cadence you say it in for every day. Okay, you get this idea. I want you to see how neurology operates. There's a lot of neurology in this. What will naturally happen is once you ground into those four phrases, you will notice them appearing for you. Who knew? Throughout the day. You will not have to, after about the first few days, go, what were those? I have to remember those. Let me go back to those. They will be coming up naturally and spontaneously. Let them. Recite them again and see what happens. Okay. Now we're going to recite the Bodhisattva prayer. You're a little ahead. You're just a little ahead. You're one little 2 minute. Good boy. You can do it. Good job. If you don't know the Bodhisattva prayer, please read it along with me. May I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles. And for the boundless multitudes of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and the sky, until all beings are freed from sorrow and all are awakened. May we all have happiness and the causes for happiness. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we rejoice and be glad at our good fortune and offer this fortune to the end of suffering for all beings. May we rest and dwell in the vast open space of the awakened heart-mind, free from greed, free from hatred, free from delusion, which today we're calling optimism and pessimism. And may our practice today support us in this endeavor. And may it continue. So be it. Thank you all for this. I'm going to check to see who's here. I will send you all this recitation sheet just in case you want this. Let me know. I see most of you. I think I know who most of you are here. Okay. Live the day. Live the day. Remember your ground poles. If you don't have them in mind, use the ones we have for now until you are clear. They have stood the test of time for 2,600 years, so they're workable. All right, everyone. This day is going to be very interesting. I was imagining, as incorrectly as one does, that it was going to be a sunny day. I got co-opted by the weather app into thinking it knew something, and then we such optimism, and then we get clear. That's right. All right, everyone. Next Saturday, I don't know if this is true, so I'm going to check with Carrie. I think we were going to do our art thing. I thought it was the last Friday. Is that about right?
Really?
Yeah.
Twenty-eighth. Oh yeah, because today's the 21st. Happy summer solstice to everyone. We are going to be practicing from 7:30 to 8:30. We are going to then be doing a little art project together. It's something I'd like to invite this summer, which is a little creative expression of our Dharma practice and studies. And so we will practice till a little before 8:30. From 8:30 to 9:15 or 9:30, we're just going to be doing a project together, something fun. I have no idea what it is. That will be Carrie and Lynn and Jamie, if she's available, supporting us for that. And I think that for this time, there's nothing to bring. I think we're providing whatever you need for that. There's nothing like wise hope in and with creativity and imagination, right? And I want everybody to remember that they have that. It is not true that you don't. It is true that you don't have training, you may not have practice as an artist, but these things are not, you do not, that's not what's required. Your own natural creativity is going to be more than enough. So please join us for that. If you could, what I'll do on Tuesday is put out a thing. Please let me know, just so we have some idea about who might be coming, so we have enough of everything for that project. Sounds fun, doesn't it? All right, everyone. Blessings to all. Be well. Bye, everyone.